Fuck yeah.
What is going on? Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports, presented by Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy. As always, I have Ryan Props here, and then Brian versus the Books, which is myself. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm excited. Baseball's creeping around the corner, and we have basketball tonight. I can't say I'm too excited about that product specifically, but I'm ready to go, dude. We're
Are
gonna
you
have a good
sure
time.
you're not excited about this? Is it four-game slate? I don't know.
Yeah, 4 game slate. Shut
That's
up, you
fair.
know.
All right. Well, I wasn't sure if it's four or five because sometimes there's games I just block off. I don't really count overall as games. But yeah, I mean had a good we got spoiled yesterday with a nice late game that went into overtime. It was really fun back and forth. As someone that bet in an under in that game, I was praying for that no overtime, and then I got the overtime, and I had to sweat it out an extra 5 minutes. So I've lost 6 pounds in the last 12 hours,
Nice.
sweating out Jamal Murray's under in overtime last night.
I had Jokic assist. This man had six with like 5 minutes left in the second. Went the rest of the second without one. Got two in the third. Had eight. At this point, it's not too late, but it's pretty late. And I still got a 6 month old, so I need to get some damn sleep. So I went to sleep. And I'm like, all right, this should be an easy cash. I woke up and found out he actually cashed it in overtime on one of the last plays of the game. And Jamal Murray had 12 assists. So shout out to Jamal. I did not necessarily see that one coming.
Yeah, I
Smitty said
faded.
rip Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I faded
But
Jamal Murray on the point side, but I liked his assist side. And I was doing that thing where, as I was watching him drain threes, I was like, should just play the assist. I was like, okay, but the under will still hit. And then I was like, all right, someone just make a free throw or a shot, so that way there's no shot for overtime. And then that didn't happen, so I just went the overtime where he hit a three like right away, and I actually ended up winning by like that like hook, as people say. But
yeah,
I would have been really mad if I lost in overtime because not only was it a matter of losing in overtime, which is tough, is that he played the entire fourth quarter and the entire overtime. So I was like, if he plays 17 straight minutes just to screw me, I would be really upset. But
yeah,
yeah,
Wentz to XFL.
yeah, what a sad story Carson Wentz has been. I mean, I was looking at Twitter earlier today, and that's what everyone was saying was the big question on Twitter today was what happened to the man we once knew as Carson Wentz. That I mean, even people that I know are big Wentz haters were texting in my group chat that were just saying, "Man, he really had this great MVP caliber season, got hurt, then concussion, and then ever since has just played football as if he was in like eighth grade and not knowing exactly how the sport works. He really fell fell high from the graces from that
That's for
2017
sure.
year.
Absolutely. Somebody brought up, no, we're going to I'm going to skip us around here a little bit. Somebody brought up Trey Turner as like the hits leader, runs leader, stolen base leader. I don't hate it. As one thing I would love to note on that regard is this man has played 100 games in his career 3 times. He played 122, 160, and 162. I'm sorry, 21. He played over 100 games as well. That was the year he got traded. My bad. But he's played in 4 seasons over 100 games in his career. So I'm a Phillies fan, obviously. I hope the man stays healthy, but his injury history is pretty lengthy. So that's something to be concerned about. But man, I mean, he should be an absolute monster in this Phillies lineup if he's able to stay in it. So
Yeah.
I know everybody in baseball has an injury concern, so I guess that wouldn't really rule him out, and by any means. So I don't think that's a bad bet at all. Plus 700 for the hits leader feels a little low, but I don't hate it. Runs scored, I
Yeah,
could
it's really
kind
going
of
to be
like that one.
the longevity. That's really what's going to be his thing. And I mean, you also have to trust that the Philly medical staff that's been sued like three times in the last 4 months in terms of the NovaCare Center keeps him healthy. So that's the other thing. Is
Yeah,
I mean, it's easier said that it's not great analysis, but sometimes futures really just come down to how healthy they can be. Because I can't
yeah.
tell you how many times a guy is a quote unquote lock to do something, and then if they miss any time or somebody else just it's kind of like the participation award sometimes. You don't have to be the best for any period of time, but if you just show up every day, congrats. You made your participation, you got your stats, and you win.
Yeah, man. There's a ton of injuries in baseball. I'm kind of dreading that aspect of it, but I think runs scored is pretty freaking solid there. We also have a couple other questions. Somebody mentioned Jimmy Butler's PRA tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
and while you take that, I'm going to eat a sandwich. So
okay.
you feel that question.
All right, that's fine. All right, so Jimmy Butler, everybody kind of heard the quote after last game that he's sick of losing. So, pretty naturally he becomes a pretty fascinating spot tonight, and he goes against the Sixers, who, if you like the revenge narrative, it is in theory or could be a revenge game, which he's played fairly well against the Sixers, if I remember correctly off the top of my head since he left. So, I do like it. The over under in that game is like 217, which has me almost hesitant to take anything in the form of an over. But I think the main thing as far as that prop is concerned is Tyler Hero. He's questionable. You kind of have to either take the risk, take it now, and Hero could be ruled in, or wait for Hero to be ruled out, and you'll probably rise up a couple notches. But I definitely understand the intrigue, and it's a pretty good spot. I think this is going to be this is going to be like a 103, 100 game, in my opinion. So I don't love a ton of overs here. Actually, for some reason, my gut has been screaming Bam Adebayo over points, which, I mean, he just shit the bed versus Charlotte. So I wish I could explain why I like that prop. I haven't personally bet it, but I like Bam points. I don't really know why. But I definitely understand the intrigue for Butler as far as White assist. Um, there's a lot of interesting ladder spots to the Celtics tonight. I think Williams rebounds are pretty interesting because they go up when Brown leaves. White assist will be interesting because he's got Smart back, so he did a lot of his assist work with Smart out and Brown out. So we don't have a ton of data on White assist with Brown out and then with Smart in. So it's kind of a tough spot to gauge, but there's definitely going to be one or two full ladders, I think, on this Celtic squad that hits. And he very well could be one of them. I think his points is a little bit more interesting personally.
Yeah, I think this is a game where I told Ryan earlier that I need him to make sure that Tyler Hero plays. So if anyone out there has ties to the Heat organization, please make Tyler Hero play and give him like a 22, maybe like a 21 and a half point line. Because if he does play, I will probably take the under on Hero, mostly because I actually was talking to some guys on Twitter too that are Heat fans, and even they were kind of giving a little shade to Tyler Hero. He's a great song that he has named after him, but man, he loves to beat up on teams like Charlotte and those easier matchups. But when the defense gets stronger, he's just a guy that I think gambling Twitter in general has a hard time betting on Tyler Hero overs. So this is a spot where if I get a good line and he does play, I will take the under for Hero, especially with Melton being able to match up with him. And
Yeah.
this game, as you mentioned, might just be one of those slow, intense playoff feel type of games where defense actually matters, and you're not going to get a Kings 180 to 180 game. You'll probably get something on the lower end of that 217 total. So less points overall could result in less points for guys like Hero. Hopefully he does play, so I'm able to fade him because there is a lot of love for Butler's over, Tobias Harris over me, all that narrative. And if Bam and Butler want to take over and like have them be the guys today and Heroes in, I gladly take it and take a lower volume night for a guy like Tyler Hero that has a tough matchup.
Yeah. I don't blame you there at all. We're getting some good questions. I always appreciate that. Harden under was brought up. Bam Adebayo under. I mean, trend wise, statistic wise, I really wouldn't blame a Bam under better. I like him over, and that's just embarrassing. I don't really know why. I don't have a great reason why, which is why I haven't officially locked it in, but it just feels like a nice potential buy low. I mean, he's obviously going to need big minutes to try to stay out there with Embiid. However, he could also get into foul trouble. So we'll see. I'll probably stay away from Bam personally. But I do for some reason lean over. I don't really fucking know why. Somebody mentioned Bam's rebounds. 8.5 is a hell of a low number. Definitely intriguing there.
The other thing that you have to kind of mention too is the only issue I have with unders against the Heat is that for as good as they are defensively, once again, it's going to depend on Tyler Hero. That's why I'm waiting on this game. I think Tyler Hero changes so much in either way. Because if Hero is healthy, a Harden under scares me a little bit, just because he's so inequipped to guard that perimeter and to close out. Like we thought Duncan Robinson was bad on like defense. Tyler Hero was supposed to be better, and he is better. Obviously, everyone's better than Sheen.
Okay, gotcha.
But from that, he's so good on that like inside step. But man, if you get hot from three against the Heat, you can just do a lot of damage from that 3-point line. They're so good defensively inside the arc. But if a guy like Harden finds his shot and drills like 2 early threes, I'd get nervous that he just takes that matchup to the bank. Like I'm not even advocating a Harden over. I'm just kind of being a devil's advocate there, where this is just a matchup where, if, say, if Embiid gets shut down, the Sixers have effectively 1.5 people on this roster that can score, and I mean, one of them would be Embiid, and half of them is Harden sometimes, and Tobias when he wants to show up for like those 4 minutes a game. So
Yeah.
it does become a matter of someone's got to score, and if someone has a plus matchup from that 3-point line, they could get hot.
Yeah, I like that. We have a couple other ones. Somebody mentioned Sixers money line with the low total. He was 11 and B double and win. I think that's a pretty strong play. Slight bias, considering I'm a Sixers fan, but I'm also pretty well versed in their shortcomings. But I do kind of like this game. I got to be honest. When they played the Celtics last game, I watched zero seconds of that game.
Really?
I just know the fucking deal, man. I can't. And I saw they were up, and I was tracking on the ESPN app. Don't get me wrong. I can't like ignore that the game's going on, but I didn't watch because I just know the fucking deal, man. I'm so sick of watching the Celtics beat the Sixers. And I don't really know what their largest lead was, but they were winning
15,
fairly big at 1 point. 15?
15 the third, yeah.
Yeah.
I think when Embiid checked out, I want to say it was 13 points. And then immediately the points in the paint was raining down for Boston.
Yeah.
For some reason, the combo we brought in that hasn't even been healthy yet of Dwayne Dedman and Trez Harrell somehow is just not living up to the All-Star expectations that we thought they'd have. But yeah, it's rough. We saw it before. We've seen it multiple times the last few years that teams without a good backup big can just falter, and that's why I have no hope for this team. And when it comes to like, oh, do you think the Sixers have what it takes to win it all? I don't, because when your rim protector leaves and you have nobody else to fill that gap, it is killer for a bench unit to not truly have that. And you have Tyrese Maxey playing blindfold recently, so I'm not touching either side of this game. If anything, I do lean the under, despite that it's a low total of 218. But yeah, these teams love to just grind out these games and have like that playoff intensity, because for some reason these teams, they played in the playoffs last year, they have a decent history between how often they have played each other in the East.
Yeah, for sure. I think I guess to actually answer this important Don Mike's actual question, I do like Philly to win. The main thing easily is they're home in Miami's way. Miami struggles pretty bad on the road. Philly's really, really good at home. There's one thing they're good at. It's winning at the Wells Fargo Center. I believe they're 25 and I think they're 24-9 at home. And I think the Heat are under 500 away. So not that that's like the ultimate deciding factor, but one thing that I've watched for many years in the Sixers period of time where they're actually been pretty damn good. They win at home. I will give them that. So I do favor them there. And then Embiid double. He's actually been picking it up on the boards pretty.
I think
Philly.
Philly media got into his rebounding. I think eventually when he was at that 9.8 for so long, and every comment was talk to me when he has 10 rebounds. Talk to me averaging 10 rebounds. I think eventually after the All-Star break, he realized, all right, I can't escape this. So I got to actually start trying on the board. So
yeah, and he's picked it up. So I do like that one. Ace Pterodactyl hit me with a golf question. Will John Rahm ever lose again? That's a hell of a question. I should be asking you that, however, but no, it does not seem like he'll ever lose again. So I guess we'll find out this weekend when he plays. It's insane that a golf outright winner could be plus like 750. Absolutely makes no sense why you would ever bet that. However, he keeps hitting it. So I don't know, man. Makes you think. And then last one, and then we kind of get into our play. Somebody
go ahead.
I
was gonna say, Brandon Ingram. I was just gonna try to move it along because I didn't realize I mean, I wanted to be in bed by 5:15, so we're already way past our time here. So last
Sucks
question
to
in the
suck,
chat
pal.
is Brandon Ingram over 26.5. I don't know about you. Brandon Ingram has been great to watch recently, and I'm seeing a lot of love for J Val's over, like Jonas Valanciunas. I might just be stubborn because I hate him, but I don't see the love for him overall in this matchup. I guess because Larry, yeah, unless you have his over, and I will take that back. But he's kind of a stick on offense, so
Yes.
I do think that this is a matchup where Brandon Ingram actually I think has a better matchup than a guy like if you think about CJ McCollum as a second option for scoring for this team, just because of his length. If you're going into Orlando, you better be able to shoot over some people because they do just have lengthy rosters. They're not that great at defending with these rosters, but length's a real thing. If you can't shoot over somebody, you're just gonna get packed every single time. So Brandon Ingram is so good in that mid range that I actually do think he has a really positive matchup here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's that's super funny. So that great segue into my first prop.
Please say you took Jonas's over.
Oh,
Please take Valentino's over.
real quick, somebody mentioned I in any specific team for the NBA championship. I actually am not. I have not bet a future all season for the NBA as far as the championship's concerned. Um, honestly, I think this might not be the most popular answer. If I had to bet somebody, I would take the Warriors at +1,000 or whatever the hell they're at. I don't even care. Once we get into the playoffs, if they're healthy, I'll take +1,000 all day long. No questions asked. I mean, obviously Phoenix is quite frightening, adding Kevin Durant, but yeah, give me the Warriors like +1,000, but I have not personally bet that. But anyway, my first prop of the day is Jonas Valanciunas over 14.5 points.
Oh god, this fucking dude. Oh, I
But
knew it.
check this out. The very first three words of my write up are I hate Jonas. But I like this spot. I think this is pretty solid, and I think recent performances have kind of intrigued me the most. So the Magic absolutely just got torched by Miles Turner last game. In between that, or 2 games ago, they played Detroit with their raw ass centers. So they didn't do a whole hell of a lot, but I'm not too worried about that. And then Jakob Pertl hit him for 30 3 games ago. So any center with a pulse over these last couple games has had really good numbers against them. And you kind of hinted at something that I found pretty intriguing about this matchup is his increase in minutes when Larry Nance doesn't play. Larry Nance is out for, I think, the 11th time this season. And he gets about a 4-minute bump without Nance. Now, one thing about the Pelicans is they're not really shy to just yank Jonas and not put him back in. But, you kind of got to sift through the matchups when that happens. It's just teams that can go small and he just doesn't fit the game script. I had to get game script in here, even though it's NBA season. Sometimes he just doesn't really fit the game script. I think the Magic are lengthy enough to keep him on the floor. With that said, I don't really, he might max out at 30 minutes, maybe 32 if we're lucky. But I do think he sees more than his 25 per game that he's gotten over the course of the season. Yeah, here you go. So his minutes have been spotty. Yeah, Larry Nance absent. Sorry. He's played them once and he had 20 against them earlier in the season. Last year, he did drop 30 against the Magic. It's worth noting. It's also worth noting that his role is way different this season. This season's Jonas is a way different Jonas than what we're used to seeing. But over the last 30 days, the Magic are allowing 23.8 points to centers, and over the last 15 days, they're averaging 25.4. So centers have had some good success against them. So it's a low ass number. He's hitting 3 out of 5 without Nance this year. I think he can make it 4 out of 6 here, even though Brian hates it really bad.
So anyway,
I thought you were frozen, but I was like, no, he's still fucking moving.
So Jonas Valanciunas is I don't hate many people in this league. I don't know what does he even do out there sometimes. I don't
really know.
I don't like if it's any consolation to you, I wanted so badly to fade him, and I tried like 6 times and I couldn't get myself to do it. So I think in a way that means I like his over, because if I had any inkling of why I would like his under, I probably would have bet it like twice already. But yeah, he is struggling, and I do actually
last 5 games have not been pretty.
I do actually like your point there, where he does benefit from the fact that he gets a lengthier matchup where the Magic just don't have a package where they can play him off the court. And that's part of the reason why I do hate this guy is that I don't want to say one trick pony, but yeah, it's very interesting. Or he is so easy to get played off the court sometimes when people just run small and he fouls like 3 times in a minute because he doesn't understand how to guard anyone under the like 8 feet tall. So yeah, I will root for it for you.
Thanks, man.
I will root for it for you. Quan took him for like 20 plus, and it hurt my soul. So I will root for it. I won't tail it. I have a rule.
I respect the honesty. I'm cool with that.
I have a rule that if I ever bet, like I have it in my bet slip, I have my FanDuel rep. If there's ever an over on Jonas in my account, to make sure that they cancel my and suspend my cards because I've been hacked. That's the rule.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I was hoping you wouldn't go there, just because it kind of ruins my mood. But I do like it. Also, interesting enough, I was looking at his assists. His assists are like plus 120 for 2 assists, and he's actually been struggling so much from shooting and trying to play basketball at a professional level that he's actually found himself passing out a little bit. If you go to Props Like Cash and look at his assist, it's kind of funny. Those 2 assists have been kind of racking up.
I'm looking at it right now. His minutes have been pretty decent this month, so hopefully he can maintain. And he's got 2 assists exactly in 4 straight games. So, I mean, he's on par with Jokic and Sabonis in that realm.
Yeah, and if you believe in the FanDuel Wizard, FanDuel is the only book I've seen that's not offering his assist. So triple double's coming. So just keep that in mind.
Buy into that shit.
I don't necessarily buy into it sometimes, but sometimes after doing my little FanDuel tour, when I got to see how they operate, I do have that in my head where it's like, why don't they have that? Like every other book's doing that. Like why don't they have it? Like do they know something that we don't? So if you can find a book that offers your Jonas Valanciunas triple double, it's worth a sprinkle.
Yeah. Don't you dare. Don't go there.
So
that segues beautifully into your next pick.
Yeah, I actually you're going to be surprised by this because as hard as I am on certain players, and as you know, I can get kind of upset with players, and I can kind of make fun of them like I just did with Valanciunas. Is over the weekend I bet on a player's under, Killian Hayes, and I made a meme saying that he can't play basketball and he's not good at basketball and he isn't cooking shit. But today, Bogdanovich is out.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich is out.
Ivy.
Jaden Ivey's out. Duran's out. I think Beef Stew will play, but there is no one on this roster that's healthy. And I'm still taking Killian Hayes' under. Because he sucks so bad.
He's fucking awful. One of my best friends is a Detroit fan and swears he's pretty good. But Michael, if you're listening, this guy fucking blows.
I texted Nick NJC earlier today, and he's on board with this as well. So this is one of those things where people think I'm not serious at times when I say this, but if I lose this bet, I won't even be upset. Like if Killian Hayes can come out there in a NBA game and put up 14 points, I will do good for you. Like I awesome. Like I am impressed, but no one's healthy. But check this out, Ryan. I want you to, this is a trivia question for you. This season, Killian Hayes has played 148 minutes when Bogdanovich, Ivy, Sadiq Bey, and Cade Cunningham are off the floor. What is his points per 36 in those 150 minutes without those guys?
7.4.
7.8. So that is crazy. So his points drop an absurd amount when he is on the floor without other scorers, which is like one of those things where sometimes you think, oh, a guy's out, so I got to take this guy's over. Who's else going to score? But Killian Hayes, when he's tasked with the responsibility of being a scorer, awful. Like when you can he probably draws a lot of LaMelo Ball, who's actually a decent defender that people don't really realize. So when you can get this kind of level of matchup where it's a awesome matchup, like anyone can score against the Hornets. My younger brother, he just broke his leg recently. He could probably score on the Hornets right now. They do not play much defense, but I'm getting a 13.5 line for Killian Hayes because everyone's hurt. And despite everyone being hurt, Killian Hayes still has to make the baskets. And that's the key.
All task.
That's the key. I actually gave a look. Potential assist ladder if you wanted to go that route. Because the one thing he can do is pass the basketball really well. His assists skyrocket without Ivy on the floor, but it's like plus 250 for 10 plus. I might use a free bet on that. I think this could be like a Ben Simmons type game. 4 points, 12 assists, a few boards here. But yeah, like all the jokes aside with him, yeah, he does see a lot less points per 36, but his usage goes up without these guys. So he's ball in hand, but he's looking to pass. And last game against the Raptors down the stretch, he played some decent minutes in the fourth quarter, and he didn't even attempt like any shots. He almost seems like he's matured a little bit into the point where he realizes if he wants to keep a role on this roster, that role is made by passing and setting up shots rather than shooting 28% every single month. So I do think he'll be involved in the offense, but I just don't see him. I don't see him scoring. I mean, he's shooting under 30% in this stretch of like those last 12 games.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
it is bad.
37%, 19%, 33%, 16%, 43%, 44%, 9%, 10%, 27%, 40%, 16%. Tyler Herro is playing.
Yes, this is great. This is great. Also, Beef Stew is out, so you could probably get a better number on Killian Hayes. I actually only put a little bit on this right now for the show, and then I was going to wait for Beef Stew, so I put a half unit on it, and hopefully we get a better number, but I'm not too worried about who's in because, like I said, at the end of the day, he's got to make baskets. Plus, this is the first round pick lottery game right now, so the Pistons might. You always have the luxury that they might pull people out early because they have a lot of tape and they have a lot of data and a lot of time with Killian Hayes. They know what he can do. There's a lot of young guys behind him that they could experiment with over him. So if it's like a 20-point game, there's no real need to play Killian Hayes when you can see what your young guys have and see what you have in different lineups. So there's a chance you might see him sit early.
Yeah, you never know with Dwayne Casey, man. He's second only to Ty Lue in fuckery, coaching fuckery.
The only issue is that for some reason Killian Hayes is his love child. He loves Killian Hayes. Like he played. I made a joke on Twitter. That's what I mean. I was really rough on Hayes over the weekend, especially because I took his under and he scored like he was like 1 for 7. He had like 3 points. Like usually for unders, I kind of like get more engaged with the overs because I kind of want to see what happens. I didn't even check the box score until after the game. Like I literally like I checked it half, saw 0 points. Didn't even check the rest of the game. I enjoyed my lunch, and I just like if he went over, I would have probably finished my lunch, checked my phone, had a heart attack right there at the restaurant. Like it would have been that surprising to me. So if he's able to put up 14 points, I tip my cap. Good for you. But yeah, his usage is just not there, and his shooting is just not there. If he finds his stroke and he can hit like 3 threes, he still has to find 6 more points, and I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I feel you. One little added, I guess, nugget, if you will, is in the last 14 games, he's had 3 or more fouls in 13 of them. So an odd trait for a not necessarily an odd trait, I guess, but a less frequent trait for a guard to be so consistently in, I'll call it quote unquote foul trouble, because a lot of these games are with 3 fouls, which really isn't that big of a deal. But there's a lot of 4s out there. He's fouled out once. So, just something to note. He has the potential to put himself in foul trouble just due to lack of discipline.
Especially if you're hoping to get a guy like LaMelo Ball to, draw some fouls. That how he does that. Someone said, "What about 5 rebounds, 5 assists?" Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like Killian Hayes in terms of his rebounds and assists. I think it's a great spot for him. But I will always, like I said, he's just a guy where if I'll take his under in points. If he's able to put up a masterclass and go like 42% shooting, then that's all him, and I give him credit. But yeah, his assist honestly is at 7.5. I think the over under's at. Yeah. I looked a hard time on that over. The only problem with his assist is that with the B squad of the already B team of the league has to make shots, which is another issue where anyone he can pass to is already sitting. So you have to rely on some guys to make shots that aren't used to making shots.
Yeah, I will say I'm not crazy about the rebounds. I think in the past, let me confirm, 2 months, He's only had one game with 5 rebounds. He's had fairly steady minutes. I mean, he's had 3 straight games of 30 or more minutes, and he only has 6 rebounds combined in those 94 minutes. He has 6 rebounds. So rebounds, I don't love that much. Assist, I'm with Brian. I definitely think it's pretty intriguing. If there is something salvaging his career right now, it's that he's a fairly decent facilitator.
I don't use the term running cardio a lot in this sport, but he's like the almost antithesis of running cardio, because sometimes he has these rotations where he literally is like 1-0-0 stat, and it's one of the stats is a foul. So it's very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Someone said Marvin Bagley's no surprise. I'm not. I didn't say anything about Bagley. I'm just shitting on Killian Hayes.
If we get other fucking props on Detroit players, I'm all over it. I can't wait. I've been looking at FanDuel, DraftKings, and every book like a couple times an hour, waiting for Bagley, Wiseman. Yeah. Alec Burks is probably my favorite.
Alec Burks that's the one I was going to bring up. You mentioned him earlier when we were texting. Yeah, Burks
scored 25 tonight. I would not.
He goes off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say in that same sample size of without Bay, Ivy, and all that, Killian Hayes is putting in a whopping 8 points per 36. Alec Burks put up 30 per 36. Like he's a guy that goes crazy when he gets the opportunity.
Yep. And somebody mentioned if you have Bet365, which is only a couple states at this point, but there's a little less juice on Killian Hayes under on Bet365.
Nice. Thank you for that. I don't have Bet365, so I'll just go cry. If I lose 6 cents, I'm probably not going to wake up for work tomorrow.
Yeah, I have it. It's not. I was so excited to get it, and it was a little underwhelming, but it's worth having. If that makes sense. Like I thought it would compete with FanDuel in my brain. I thought I'd be checking them equally. FanDuel's still king, even though I kind of hate FanDuel. Every fiber of my being. They know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, they developed the best app in my opinion. I don't really think it's that close. But Bet365 disappointed me slightly. I will say their boosts though are pretty damn good. Like I said, it's just worth having. I could kind of just cut it there. I mentioned Alec Burks. Had we had Alec Burks props prior to the show, I would go ahead and go into a spiel on him. If they could open this at a kind of a wild number, I obviously want to see if he's starting. Even if he's off the bench, I'm probably cool with most numbers that they give, unless we're talking like 17.5, 18.5, which really isn't that unreasonable.
It could happen. Killian Hayes got 13.5.
Yeah.
For him, that's like 28 points.
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling projecting what they'll put Burks at, but I have very heavy interest in Burks. So I only have 2 props for today, but as of now, which one I'll discuss here in a minute, but I definitely want to see what Alec Burks opens at, and will very likely consider laddering that, if not only just playing it, but laddering it if the value's there.
All right, what's your next prop? I want to see if I can guess it. Is it a Celtics player?
It is.
Is it Marcus Smart assist?
It is.
I didn't know that, but I was reading your body language when someone said in the chat about Derek White, so I put that together. So yeah. So if it wins now, it's my doing. You're welcome. I take credit for that.
Okay. I laddered this one up to 10. So the way I do ladders is 0.6, 0.2, 0.2. So I risk a unit. I know it's pretty popular to go 1 unit, 0.5, 0.5, which I'm cool with that. Whatever you're comfortable with. But I kind of like to risk a little bit less, especially guys like Smart, who I mean, I don't know. He's been fairly consistent, but I don't mind just risking a unit period. And then, sometimes you can get 2.5, 3 units if they go ahead and climb all the way up. And that way you're not risking, as much money as other people do. So I go 0.6 units, 0.2, 0.2. If you're comfortable with 1 and 0.5, 0.5, be my guest. If anything, I would say do 1 unit, 0.5, 0.35 or something like that. That way, as long as he hits the over 5.5, then at least you make a couple bucks. But anyway, without further ado, I did bet his over 5.5, 8+, and 10+. So I found this one to be pretty interesting. This is his 4th game back from injury. His minutes have been, ever so slightly scattered. 2 games ago, he played 35 minutes. Now he played the full 5 in overtime. So he played 30 minutes in the regulation, Then he came back and played 26 minutes against Philly, but he was in some foul trouble. So reasonably, I think 30 minutes is what we can expect. Maybe he creeps up to 32, which is his season average. But we can't really forget their 3-man point guard rotation. I love Derek White tonight. I've fought all day in my head of what to do with Derek White, but I'm scared. There's probably only going to be 2 of Smart, Brogdon, and White that finish this game, like last 7-8 minutes. If somebody's kind of the odd man out and gets the 25 minutes while the other 2 get the 30, I think, and I could be wrong, I think it's going to be White. And that's really my main hesitation. His points are screaming my name. But I think if somebody kind of gets screwed out in the fourth quarter, especially, hopefully it's a close game. I think it's going to be White. If it's not White, I'm pretty confident it'll be Brogdon, and Smart will be out there pretty much no matter what. Which is what led me to Smart. He's got to defend Brunson, which is a huge assignment right now. So I do like the fact that, they really need his defense. And I mean, he's just been their number 1 point guard for, the full season. So, he got injured. Brogdon and White played pretty well, but I don't really think anything's changed. I think he's their primary point guard. And I think we kind of see him settle back in, and, hopefully tonight's that night. So, getting more into some statistics, he's over 5.5 in 31 out of 44 games this season, which is 70%. So we got a nice hit rate overall. Averages 7 assists on the season. The main kicker, which I'm sure everybody's already thought about seeing, is in Brown's absence. He's played 6 times this season. He has double-digit assists in 4 of those 6. He has hit 6 assists in all 6 of them. He has 10, 15, 10, 12, 6, and 6 assists in those 6 games. Earlier this season, he faced the Knicks and he dished out 11 assists in that game. That game had Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Malcolm Brogdon all sharing the floor. So, he pulled off 11 assists at the pinnacle of, competition as far as his minutes and his uses are concerned. So taking Brown out of the equation here definitely makes me like his chances to have the ball in his hands quite a bit. Sorry, my cat's trying to sneak on scene. All right, brother, we're good here, bud. I promise. So yeah, I think this has a lot of ladder potential, like you said. And the main thing is Brown's absence. Smart's really stepped up. Derek White has the direct correlation of the rise in usage. Now, Smart's assist numbers go up, but his usage kind of remains relatively similar, whereas White does get the bump in usage, which is really intriguing. But like I said, I think the main thing it came down to is, if they're all sitting around 25 minutes and there's 7 minutes left in this game, I'm quite confident Smart will be on the floor. I'm not that confident that White will be on the floor.
Yeah, so that's a good point you bring up too with closing out the game, especially in closer games. Because I mean, do you know who the leading point guard is in lowest defensive rating, like the best defensive rating as out of all point guards this year?
Marcus Smart. Hold on. Rephrase that question for me. Sorry.
Like the lowest,
the worst.
No, the best, because defensive rating is low.
Okay,
it's weird. Like the best.
I'd imagine Smart's pretty damn close, if not number 1.
It's D'Anthony Melton. I just wanted to put that stat in there to give some love to Melton. But anyway, yeah, good point. I did give that a look, and I actually figured you would end up playing that. So I think that's one of those ones where that's one of those props too, where there's so much good to it that if you play it and it misses, you kind of just chalk it up as it was a good spot. Al Horford brick 6 threes, whatever happens. But
yeah, which is always possible. But I mean, I watch the Celtics quite frequently. I don't really know why. But man, their shooters are fucking incredible. So man, if he hits an open shooter from deep, man, I like the chances of them knocking it down. So his assist prop I look at slightly differently than others. I mean, he might not have the potential assist, but I think the quality of potential assists with him is a little bit better than you'll find on most teams, because man, these guys can fucking shoot everywhere you look. Now I wanted to kind of break this game down a little further, and I just kind of want to see your thoughts, because I think Mitchell Robinson 8.5 rebounds is super intriguing. However, the Celtics, if Rob's not on the floor, they're going to go probably 5 out, kind of get 5 guys on the perimeter, drive, kick, or drive and layup a lot. Does Mitchell Robinson fit into this game? He's got 12 and 13 rebounds in his 2 games back, and then they hang an 8.5. That's some sketchy shit in
Yeah.
my opinion.
It's
Because
I wonder if fouls also come into an issue because he's so bad at understanding how to spread your fouls out.
yeah,
That's the only thing that's like that's the only hesitation I have with Gareth Robinson. That's a true rim runner, and he like just absorbs fouls sometimes for A, stupid reasons, or B, so Randall doesn't have to. And sometimes you see 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes and you already feel like your play's dead. That's
yeah.
the only hesitation I have with him. But yeah, 8.5 is a low line.
It's tempting, but I obviously sports books aren't really dumb as we want them to be. I'm pretty sure there's a fucking reason they hung an 8.5.
It's also a very aggressive and physical matchup. That's the other thing with Robinson. In a game like this, whether it's RW, Al, like whoever is in, like even Tatum, like whoever it is, it's going to be a physical, like defensive game. So if they have like a quicker whistle, you can find him like screwed early and often.
Very, very true. I got one more thing, and then we can kind of move on with the show. I wanted to get your opinion on Mark Williams. His play, his PR primarily, or his rebound ladder is kind of blown up today, and it's for great reason. I mean, he just tore up Bam Adebayo. I can't really believe that he put up 18 and 20 on fucking Bam. How much are you buying into that? Or, I mean, obviously he didn't play it, at least unless you're lying to us, not fucking telling us. Why didn't you play it? Is there something that scares you away, or I don't know. That prop just intrigues me so much, but it's one I couldn't
Which
do, and I
which one
couldn't really find why.
which prop would you attack with it though?
I probably ladders rebounds after a 20 spot on Miami. He's
Yeah.
got the matchup for sure.
You're not worried about James Wiseman, elite big man of.
Not really.
Honestly, I don't know if you knew this. I faded Mark Williams over the weekend for that game, and he had his career
Ooh,
night.
nice. Sick.
Which is funny because sometimes when you bet unders, you look like an idiot. But I swear, if you take someone's over and they have like 3 rebounds, everyone's like, "Oh, he's a bum. It's not your fault." But if you take it under and they go off, it's your fault. But yeah, I put a lot of trust in the Bam Adebayo that game to limit offensive rebounds and putbacks. And I think Williams had like 7 putbacks. I needed I needed the under in points, and those putbacks were crazy. I really thought that Bam would be able to keep him off the glass, and I think Bam was hungover or drinking or like drinking before the game because I turned it in for like the first 6 minutes, and I gave up. I don't ever give up an under early, but I gave up within like 6 minutes after watching Bam get bullied. So I agree with you there. If he can bully Bam Adebayo on the offensive boards, I mean, James Wiseman's a guy that he should have a field day with if you believe he's actually that dude. Because that was the other thing is that up until last game, he was really struggling and he didn't have a role in this team. Like you mentioned, Valanciunas having a role where like sometimes he can just like go disappear. That was also Mark Williams. He had a role in this team where like if he was underperforming early, they would just go with Richards or any other big to back him up.
Yeah.
But after last game, I wonder if he really solidified the fact that he is the guy to go to. But I don't know if you believe that yet.
And that's what you have to trust. If you're betting Mark Williams tonight, that's what you kind of have to trust is that like, did he earn that role? Just last game against Minnesota, he had 17 minutes. The prior 2, he had 30. The prior 1, he had 21. Prior 1, he had 31. So it's really hard to trust. I get the intrigue. I love it. I saw this open at 9.5 last night. I thought about it a lot and I could not quite commit. I can't really tell you why. It seems hard to trust. One thing in my betting career that I've noticed time and time again is when a young center has a hot streak, whether it's 1 game or 2 games, and you kind of go all in on that young center. They play 14 minutes, have 0 points and 2 rebounds. I don't fucking know why, but I'm always the one that catches the 0 and 2. Maybe I'm a little scarred.
At least he didn't take an under in PR on a guy that beat it just on rebounds. At least you're not that guy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure some of you listening have bet Mark. I do not blame you one bit. I think this spot's super intriguing, and I'm gonna go ahead and sit this one out from the sideline and see if he solidified that role. I think he deserves to, and I think tonight is a golden spot. I mean, this is a spot, like I said, I like to risk 1 unit on ladders more times than not. This is a spot that a 1 unit risk for me is not, not a bad idea by any means. Not that I've done it, but um, the risk is obviously there, but the reward, you might be catching a trend before it fully develops if he did go ahead and kind of steal that job from Nick Richards. But
Yeah, this
anyway,
is a game. I was gonna say this is a slate too where we talked about a lot of spots. We actually talked about like 12 props on the show based off questions and other things. This is also
yeah,
a slate where my biggest recommendation on slates like this is I'll only have like 2 plays, but then like I'll have like all these spots that we just talked about in my back of my head. And if I see like a live spot where one guy starts off slow or a guy I wanted to fade starts off hot, I'll start sprinkling like quarter units on live plays and have some action and also get like that feeling because there's nothing worse than not playing something and then have it smack and you kind of hate yourself a little bit. So it is good like a live thing to follow some of these things. Like say if Mark Williams, like, 8 minutes in, there's a timeout and he's at 0-0 or just one board, maybe you can catch a good live line. And then, that's the other thing is that sometimes people start off super hot shooting and you're not going to get rebounds if a team's shooting 82%.
yeah,
So if you wanted to say, say the Pistons start off, Killian Hayes starts off 5 for 5 from 3, and there's no misses going on, that maybe you can get like a live line for a guy like Mark Williams.
yeah. I almost feel talked into doing it because like we talked about, like obviously Killian Hayes is out there, so that's if that guy takes 10 shots, that's 7 misses. We talked about the rest of the Detroit squad, and just the lack of talent, I guess, to try to say it, I guess not that lightly, but they're not really going to be a lot of talent on Detroit.
Yeah, this could be
shots. I
this
almost
could
kind of
be
just want to go for it.
this could be a game too where a lot of pace could happen, a lot of points be scored, but I wouldn't be surprised if the points is from the Bagleys, the Wisemans, and the duo of like Williams and Richards. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a lot of these big men that are cleaning up missed shots, offensive rebounds, and like PNR post ups and stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a game where those guys take over. And the only other guy making shots is, with my luck, it's gonna be Killian Hayes hitting 6 threes. For the first time since he was like 3 years old, he's gonna make a 3.
Yeah, Bagley rebounds is super intriguing. Bagley, everything's intrigued me. I just wish we had Detroit props because I would have played at least one spot there because I'm hoping to get that underdog tweet. My favorite thing is when it says X team available players tonight and they list like 9-10 guys. That way this game could be a fucking blowout, but some of these guys have to see minutes. So I'm hoping we get that. I think we might. I mean, there's really not that many active players.
They are shorthanded.
Yeah, I think they're going to be at 9 or 10. Somebody mentioned Nick Richards, which is also pretty much just as intriguing in Mark. If you think that Mark is going to kind of bail after his 18 and 20 game, I definitely don't mind Nick Richards. Spooky mentioned Tatum threes. I will say the Knicks have really cleaned up their perimeter defense lately. They're only averaging like 10 threes or so allowed over the past 10 games or so, something like that. So it does look like easy money. And also Tatum kind of shot like shit last game, so I do kind of like a bounce back. But I did want to just note that the Knicks perimeter defense is pretty solid these days. We still have MLB to go through.
I was gonna say we might just skip MLB. I mean, it's coming in a month. I didn't really have much on there. I actually think we were planning to have a lot less to talk about in the NBA, but we actually talked about a lot on the slate. So if you want to go to pick up popular plays, my phone is not anywhere near me right now. I don't know if you could pull that up.
I certainly can. Somebody just mentioned that Wiseman's good googly moogly. James Wiseman has been listed, and his points are 15 and a half on DraftKings.
So that makes me feel good a little bit.
Yeah, his rebounds are at 10 and a half, which are intriguing for sure. 15 and a half is kind of wild to me. They're still only listing Wiseman and Killian as far as player props are concerned for Detroit. Anyway, Pickett popular plays. Let me go ahead and pull up Pickett real quick.
While you do that, someone I was checking my laptop. Tyler Hero opened at 19 and a half. I really wanted 20 and a half. That's going to make me think about it because I was actually 100% going to fade him at 21 and a half. 20 and a half would have faded him. 19 and a half, they're going to do that thing where they're going to make me gonna make me think about it. Damn, I hate
Yeah,
that.
yeah, pain. That's pain. So all the guys on this list for pick your popular plays that we kind of discussed, the very first one is Jason Tatum. He shot pretty bad last game. He hit the game winner. He's got a good matchup on paper. Knicks allow a lot of points to small forwards, and I would assume they go Tatum, Horford, Williams, and start him at small forward. So the matchups there, bounce back spots intriguing. I think he has like 38 or more in 3 straight games without Brown. So I thought, heavily over 31 and a half for Tatum is very intriguing to me. I have not committed. Definitely don't blame anybody for doing so. I actually think his rebounds is super intriguing as well. Actually, his rebounds and assists is the number one played option. Points is the next most popular, and then rebounds after that is the most popular. So actually rebounds and assists is number one. So that is
Yeah,
interesting to me.
all over Twitter, all I saw today was a Tatum RA bets. Not saying it's like not saying that's like anything of that actually matters. But that's all I saw today when I was looking through Twitter. There's a lot of RA love, and I don't even hate it. I mean, his RA without Brown and in this matchup should be fine. But yeah, it's definitely a popular play that I'm seeing today.
Interesting. I haven't seen too much of that. The next one, very, very seemingly obvious choice is Brandon Ingram. His points are far and away his number one option. Assist is a very distant second, with Josh Richardson in the mix and likely starting and likely getting about 30 minutes based off the past couple games. CJ, BI, and Josh assists are all kind of off the table for me currently. As far as Brandon Ingram points, I mean, this guy's, he seems locked into 21 or more shots. He's got the matchup. The only hesitation is that I was in it and I went to bed last night and I didn't get the 24 and a half line.
Yeah,
It's 26 and a half now. That's probably the only reason I'm not talking about that prop right now. If I caught the 24 and a half, you're pretty damn sure that I'm going to be talking about it right now. 26 and a half. I still like it, honestly. I hate knowing that I missed out on 2 points. 2 points is a big swing. I'm gonna personally fade it for that reason, but I couldn't really love it anymore. Final one, go ahead and guess. Fuck it.
Killian Hayes is under, right?
That's right. No, it's not.
Is it Marcus Smart?
It's not Marcus Smart, actually. Marcus.
Oh, Jimmy Butler. It's gotta be Jimmy Butler, right?
That's a great guess. Butler's 4. Smart's actually nowhere in sight. It's LaMelo Ball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and his made threes and assists are like neck and neck, very close. And I think is 3.5 threes is pretty juiced, but I think like playable juiced. And this is definitely the matchup. Oh no, it's 175 on DraftKings. No, thank you. I hate the thought of playing a guy for 5 threes at plus 140. And I won't do it personally, but I don't fucking blame him, dude. He's going to throw up probably 13 unless this game ends up being a blowout, which honestly, I think this spread's a little wild. If I had to blindly guess, I would have guessed Hornets double-digit spread, but at the end of the day, the Hornets aren't really that good either. But plus 140 for 5 threes, in theory seems kind of crazy, but for a guy like Ball who just shoots on punches, it's a nice spot. Pistons are just bottom tier, everything, perimeter defense, paint defense, defensive rating. So, no issues with LaMelo being the third prop there. It definitely makes a lot of sense. And then, like you said, you mentioned Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's the 4th most popular for basically just his comments. I would imagine it's a fine spot.
Plus everyone loves a good
revenge. That's
like
right.
A revenge narrative.
Yeah. So between revenge and then his comments last game, he's been kind of bet up quite a bit as well. So, those are the top 4 guys for Pickett. Did you have anything to add for MLB? I didn't necessarily have anything specific. I just thought we could talk about it a little bit.
Not really. I mean, my only worry is we have to deal with these strikeout props where we have to factor in. There's now a 15-second timer, which I'm just not sure how it's going to work in our favor.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's going to work in terms of, does it count as a strikeout for a pitcher if it's a 2-2 count and the guy doesn't put his gloves on fast enough? Like,
That's
My
a good
opinion is
question, though.
my opinion is that you have to, but I've been talking to some people on
Has to.
Twitter, and because that's my thing is it's 27 outs of baseball. You can't just have an asterisk for an out. So I don't know. All I'm saying is that a lot of times when I'm doing work, I have baseball streaming on my computer, and if I have an under 4.5 strikeouts for a guy, and it's his last batter in the 6th inning, and the guy doesn't put his gloves on fast enough, and he gets a strikeout, I'm throwing my computer across the room. That's my only worry with this whole pitch count thing. Is as a guy that bets on a lot of strikeouts, I just need to fully get clarity from books and MLB in general, just to see what that entails from a betting standpoint of how does that matter in the strikeout prop world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it has to be a strikeout.
You has to be, and like at the very least, like what if you have like this is like me as a person that's going to complain a lot when this starts happening. But if you have under if you have an under and a guy strikeouts and it's a 3-1 count, and then all of a sudden you have a hitter infraction, like yeah, that's not a strikeout, but a 3-1 count where you have to come in with a fastball is now a full count where you can do anything, and that just like that little stuff matters a lot in this sport where it's a game of inches and it's a game of big situations. That if you give
Absolutely.
a pitcher a free strike on a 3-1 count, totally just changes that at bat.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, this will be really interesting. I truly can't wait. Ginger Saps said his strategy is going to be strikeout ladders and no run first innings. Me and Brian, if you were following us a year ago, you know that we're almost primarily strikeout betters. I do dabble in
And
some
we
runs here and
aren't good
there.
at it. We are
We've
not
had some
good.
good seasons. I
No,
haven't.
I think baseball is such a fun thing. I think this show actually gets most fun to me when it's mostly baseball, which I feel like is when most people tune us out. But that's where I think we have the most fun.
Yeah, and we don't have to all of last baseball season. We started somewhere in the middle of baseball season doing the show, and it was at 10:30 in the morning. It'll be nice to be able to do it at 5 o'clock. Probably have some lineups here and there.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned NHL looks. I actually didn't get a chance to deep dive into NHL
He
too
was
much.
he was too busy with this large NBA slate.
Demon Children is a more accurate description of why I was busy today. I'm tempted to take the Avalanche spread -1.5 over Vegas. But I haven't. I like the over in the Boston and Edmonton game, and I think that Boston Edmonton game, if you're feeling a goal scorer lotto, man, that game should be beautiful. And Boston's defense is absolutely fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but Edmonton's offense is just good enough to be able to pull something crazy off. So, what's the top play from Ryan's cat?
The cat trying to take my job. I once lost a job to a dog before, so I can't lose them to a cat. I'm very replaceable.
We don't have enough time for you to get into that story.
Yeah, no,
We
we're
might have
good.
to.
So we're gonna. I think at 6:02, we actually filled up a whole hour show. That's crazy. I was
Yeah,
hoping to be asleep by 5:30, so I'm pretty proud of us there. But
we're
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
actually I'm smoking some food for the first time in my life as we speak. So I started easy. I started hamburgers and hot dogs. So you can't really fuck that up so much unless I just burn them to a crisp. Um, so yeah, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. Go get some dinner. There you go.
yeah.
You're
So
not replaceable, Brian. Where's the butthole person that really likes you?
big booty hole. Yeah, he's my
The big booty
friend.
hole hasn't been watching
Yeah.
recently. They haven't been professing their love to
Yeah,
you.
that was a whole thing. He found my IP address. He stalked me. I had to get a restraining orders. It was actually more scary than fun once that started to happen. But we don't have time to go into that. But to kind of wrap up, the only play I have is I have Killian Hayes under 13.5. As I mentioned, with Beef Stew being out, you can get it now at -110, which is why I refrained from posting it because I figured if he was out, it would get better juice. So I'm gonna play it at -110 on FanDuel. Uh, but quickly to add on to that, with Bagley and Wiseman now in, I'm not too worried about the two bigs being out because it kind of just slide right into the offense. And then
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into Tyler Hero. I want to fade Tyler Hero a lot. I just kind of hate that they gave me a 19.5 line. I just had to crunch some like numbers with that because as much as I hate that they gave me a lower line that I wanted, it almost shows I'm on the right track where the books are agreeing that Tyler Hero is in a spot where he shouldn't be scoring as much. So I'm going to look into that, but 19.5 is not as good as the 20.5 I wanted.
For sure. For sure. I think we're good. I think we're ready to wrap up. It's 6:03. So despite a pretty ugly slate, we filled up this show pretty successfully, I think. And I think a lot of it has to do with all the questions. The comments are really fun. It's fun to engage with everybody. It makes this show a lot more personable and just fun for, I hope, everybody. So as always, thanks for tuning in. This is Ryan Brian.
Ryan, hey Ryan. The part of the wrap up was I just went over my two plays, and then usually you cover up your two plays, and then you'd go out. You kind of skipped over the part where you give out the plays because most people don't watch the show; they just watch the last 30 seconds, and you kind of ruined the whole back and forth we just had there.
Well, now I don't feel like recapping, so I'm not recapping shit.
Yeah,
no,
so I already did. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I did mine, and I passed it to you, and then you say we should probably start wrapping up. When I was the one that just started the wrap up like 30 seconds earlier. So Ryan is on Jonas Valanciunas over 14.5 points, and then he took a Marcus Smart assist ladder with the base at 5.5 all the way up to 10. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm taking this from Ryan. He clearly is hammered. And he does not know what he's talking about, but that's the 4 plays we had, and we appreciate all you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. As always, presented by Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy.
Thanks, guys.